Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. It's match preview, Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, this time in the Premier League. We're looking for a repeat performance from Tuesday night's game. A lot of opinions out there about the starting lineup. Should Garnacho keep his place? Palestre, Hannibal as well. We want to know your opinion, so get involved in the chat and we will discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. First of all, the Carabao Cup last night, the draw was made. We've got Newcastle at home. Yeah. Can you believe it? But I want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, getting the home draw was the most important thing. Yeah. Big game against Newcastle, but really it should be a big game no matter who we play because it's the quarter-final next. United, I think, will be favourites. I look at it, the game, and we've got a European game on the Wednesday, then we've got Man City at home on the Saturday, and then we've got a home game against Newcastle. That's 3 home games, so there's no excuse for travelling. Newcastle, they've got Dortmund in the Champions League at home, then they're away to Wolves. So I think United have got the advantage there. Tough week for both teams, and everyone's got to be on the ball. But I do think United will be favourites. Big crowd, noisy crowd, under the lights. Quarterfinals next round.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Let us know if you're looking forward to that as well, because like you say, we've got the midweek game, Champions League at home to Copenhagen, then we play City on the weekend, then Newcastle the following week. So I'm really looking forward to that. Should be a good 7 days as well.
Yeah, good 7 days, and it's something football fans should be looking forward to. And the way United have been the last 2 games, bit more improvement by the time we get to that week. I think we'll be on the ball. A lot of injuries. Hope they're all back, and we'll need every player that week, especially.
Right, let's go on. Let's move on to this Crystal Palace game. Premier League this time. Obviously, it was good team performance on Tuesday, individual performances as well. But me and you've had a chat off camera. We do believe Ten Hag will bring Rashford back in for Garnacho. Do you still think that?
Yeah, I still think that. I think it's Rashford has to come in. Did say the other day he's got a couple of games there, up his game. He needs to up his game, to be honest. There's a lot of critics out there, quite rightly so, because at the end of the day, he has been identified at not running back. Garnacho has improved his game, improved his work rate, and I seen the other night there, and he deserves a start. But Rashford, he has to start. I mean, you have to look. He's got the goal threat. So he's got.
People will say recently he's not really been that goal threat. Obviously got that goal away to Arsenal, but since then people have highlighted his performances, his work rate, his tracking back. Something we've highlighted ourselves as well.
I was just going to say we've highlighted it and we've been critical of it. But the thing is, Garnacho's had a couple of starts, didn't do the business. There's reasons for that. No one was really doing the business. But I think he has to start with Rashford. I think it'll be wrong to drop him. He's got 2 games, in my opinion. This game against Palace and then the game against Galatasaray. He's threatening him, Garnacho. But I think bringing back Rashford, and I think he'll bring back Bruno, who both of them never played on Tuesday night.
Yeah, bringing them back in, but then who do you leave out in that midfield? You know, I think a lot of yous out there have seen them running stats from Hannibal against Burnley. He covered, was it 12.9 kilometres in that game, more than any other United player since Ten Hag took over at Manchester United. So if you're another midfielder in that squad and have been there, you know, for the last 12, 15 months or so, would you feel a little bit embarrassed that this young kid's come in and he's put that much effort in?
I don't know about being embarrassed.
Would you not? They're highly paid footballers, millionaires, and then this young kid comes in, Hannibal, and he shows them all how it's done in terms of work rate, tracking back, putting the effort in for the team.
I mean, people will listen. They'll all know about Hannibal and that this player is an up-and-coming player, and he will make the team. Not embarrassed. I think what you've got to look at as a professional footballer and say, these are the type of players you want, exceptional players. And Hannibal has put in exceptional work rates. The stats tell you that.
Yeah.
We've been looking at him for a while. Yes, I want Hannibal in the team, but will he get there? I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure.
In terms of this game?
On this game, I'm not too sure.
No, I've got to start with Casemiro in there. I think Mason Mount, I think he'd be good to bring back into this game from the start. And obviously, it just depends on his formation, how he's going to set up in that midfield. Is he going to go like Casemiro as the pivot, 2 number 8s, or a 6 and an 8 in front of him? But I also look at left back. For me, I think he may have stumbled across something there with Amrabat, because I was really impressed in his positional sense in terms of when Casemiro goes forward, he can slot in them from that left back. And We've seen it over the last season, couple of seasons at least, especially at Manchester City, then Arsenal last year, how they use their full-backs, particularly their left-back Zinchenko and the City's left-back as well, in how they took into midfield. And I just think Amrabat there, he's got that football brain, the awareness of when to cover and when to drop back in onto the left-back as well.
I think it's just a matter of if Reguilon is fit, then he goes in. I think, obviously, if he's not fit, Amrabat looks as though he can do the job there, but I don't think that's the long term. We've not got him for that. I think he's there for in the midfield. He's got the legs, big, strong lad. I looked at him again, yesterday, and I looked at his performance, but I also looked at what he was doing on the field. He can command that field. So to me, left back, he's just there if we need him. That's how I see it. But
I just think tactically, it's a different option, and I just think it boosts our midfield when you've got a player there with that sort of football brain who knows how to work that in terms of getting into the midfield and packing that midfield when it needs to happen. Because sometimes we have seen this season, Casemiro likes to roam forward and create. I think he scored 3 goals in the last 3 games in total. Got that assist as well on Tuesday. So Casemiro does give you an attacking threat as well. But if you've got someone like Amrabat who can drop inside in the midfield and sort of combat the opposition's counter-attacks there, I just think it's worth a look again, mate, especially against Crystal Palace, who will come at United a lot more than you'd expect the performances to step up. So
if Amrabat goes left back, to me, it's just a plaster fixing something. That's all it is. Long term, you can't look at it long term because you've got Luke Shaw,
of course,
and you've got Malacia, who will try and fight for his place when he comes back. So I think it's just using a plaster to put Amrabat left back at the moment. But it's a good option, and he slotted in well. But then again, he slotted in all over the pitch when he started running. But Mason, going back to the Mason Mount, I think he will start with Mason Mount. He started with him the other night. He had a good performance. And as I said yesterday, underrated and missed by a lot of people, his performance, especially when he's had all the detractors over the last month or two since he started. But Mason Mount, for me, he's another one what will go in there. So it's Rashford, Mason Mount for me. And I think he will bring Bruno back. But I also go back to you talking about tactics, down to Erik ten Hag's tactics here. If he uses the same tactics, which he expects him to, 3 up front, go for the speed, go for the attack on the front foot, get the same with the back 4, the midfield, and go for it. There's no reason why we should hang back here. It'll be a different Crystal Palace what comes to Old Trafford. They won't be coming here as lambs to the slaughter. They will have learned a hell of a lot from Tuesday night. And Roy Hodgson there, canny old geezer, do you know what I mean? He knows football. He
looked
knows.
A bit stressed out though on Tuesday night, especially after the game. Hands on his face, hand on his head.
Well, you would be, because at the end of the day, it was a poor performance, but it was a poor performance created by Man United and the work they did. They forced Crystal Palace back. They forced them behind the ball. They came out on the front foot and they got pushed back virtually straight away. But he will look at that. He will look at the strengths of what Crystal Palace have got. I think they'll come with more determination. I think the players will have a bit of pride in the work and they'll come back more determined. So I don't expect the same type of game. I think it'll be tougher. I think they'll be more committed to the ball, more committed to a defence. They'll get the tackles in there. And to be honest with you, you shouldn't expect an high-scoring game here. I think Crystal Palace will come here.
Well, Crystal Palace will change the defence around. You'd expect them to bring the first-choice centre-backs back in there, at least from what they did play on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Same with Manchester United, though. Who do you play at centre-back? Is it going to be Lindelof and Varane? Obviously, seen against Burnley, the performance Johnny Evans put in, great performance.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire as well. Look, he played the other night. For me, he wasn't at fault for anything there, and a solid performance. So it is healthy competition there, and it's good to see certain players now getting a little bit of form.
I think he'll put Varane in. I think he'll put Varane alongside Lindelof. I think that's what he'll do. Obviously, Lindelof can all move about, but Varane, no, you've got to give him the game, let him start. He needs to get his fitness up, and this game will prove right for him. If you look at the other night, Maguire, Varane, they were able to wander around a lot most of the game, passing the ball, run without being put under pressure. But I expect them to be put under pressure, and really Varane and Lindelof, they'll do it. Them two, for me, have to start.
Yeah, another one who has to start for me anyway is Højlund. He has to come back in, surely. Martial, though, he did look mean. Well, he looked lean, mean fighting machine the other night. He looked absolutely shredded.
Hoyland has to come in. You want him in there, and as you just said there, they will bring hopefully their two centre halves back in. So he'll have a battle there. He'll have a battle whether they come in their two centre halves or not, because they will have a lot of men behind the ball. And you watched Martial Tuesday night. He fought hard, didn't get a lot, but he got a great goal in the end. So he got the goal he deserved for the work rate. And another unsung, he worked throughout the game. And it was difficult. And Hoyland, it will be difficult for him. But he's a big lad, and I think he'll take it to him, which will be fine for me.
Yeah, do you think he'll stick with Pellistri on the right-hand side? Because
I don't think he's got any option, really. He's the attacker. He works well with Delo. I give him that. He comes back. I think he's got no option but to put Pellistri in there. I want Pellistri in there. It's the type of game I think he should thrive in. 2 games in a week against the opposition. He shouldn't have to worry about too much. And the way United are playing, I think he'll get a lot of the ball. But the work rate from Pellistri is good, and his commitment. And it's the type of game you will need work rate and commitment, because they will make you work this time, Palace. They're not, like I said before, they're not just coming here just to be walked over. They will make United work, and I think it will be a very difficult game.
Yeah, I was thinking, other than Pellistri, Bruno on the right-hand side. We have seen it this season, obviously last season as well, and Wesley said the same thing. Do not put Bruno on the right-hand side. He needs to be in the middle. But, you know, if he's thinking about starting Hannibal, he would then have to, in my eyes, put Bruno on the right-hand side to fit Hannibal in that midfield.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I can't see Hannibal coming in. I think United have to go on the front foot with 3 attackers, not play about with Bruno out there. Yes, Bruno sometimes can do all right out there, but for the majority of the game, he doesn't do well out there, and then he tends to go wandering when things don't work out. When things don't work out with Bruno and he's out on the right, he then doesn't sort of settle down to any position. He sort of thinks he's got to run around and help out in the left-back position, the left-wing position, and all that. So to me, he has to stay in that middle. So for me, Hannibal, that is the reason why he can't start, because Bruno has to come back in.
Yeah, I was looking on some training highlights earlier on. I couldn't actually see Reguilon in any of the highlights, so I'm not too sure whether he is going to be available for this weekend's game. But like I say, Amrabat for me, left back, I'd like to see it again, because I think it's an interesting thing that I did see from him on Tuesday night in the way he played. So let us know what your thoughts and opinions are on that, on the left back spot. But Onana as well seems to a lot died down now with Onana, especially in the media, who were criticising him heavily. Got a couple of clean sheets now up to now, and everything's just rosy there, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the media, I think they're slightly turning their attention to Chelsea, and quite rightly so, with the hate. But with United, I think that battling performance against Burnley shut a lot of people up. We got the away win, we got the 3 points, we've turned up against Crystal Palace, different system, on the front foot, and if you see that again against Crystal Palace, that's what you want. But I also have to look at the Tuesday night game against Galatasaray. Erik ten Hag has to take into account picking this first 11 with an eye to Tuesday's game, because Tuesday's game in the Champions League is massive. We have to get them 3 points. So I think he'll be looking at tactics. He'll be looking at the personnel who starts with a view to Tuesday night, and I think what it is, he'll put a strong bench out there, and that's what we need on Saturday. We had a strong bench for the first time on Tuesday night, and I expect the same again. And there'll be a few players again chomping at the bit to get on the pitch from that bench, and that's what you want. So if United play in that attacking mode, play free-flowing football, and are able to take it to Crystal Palace, the players on the pitch will be enjoying themselves. The same with the bench. And that's what you want. You want players to come on who really are excited to get on the pitch and be part of a successful game.
Yeah, and I totally agree with them comments. Aaron in the chat says, I could have played centre-back the other night. They didn't exactly do anything exciting, did they?
Yeah, listen, I've got to agree with you on that. You know, people going on about Harry Maguire's performance and that. He didn't do nothing wrong. And that's all you can say. At the end of the day, he didn't get challenged. He didn't get put on. He didn't have anything really to worry about. So at the end of the day, that was Harry Maguire strolling about the pitch, being able to have the tempo at his own pace. And Varane was the same. That's not Maguire and Varane's fault. That was just, at the end of the day, Crystal Palace went further and further back and just gave the back four and really Onana not that much to do, even though Onana did pull off 2 saves and they were good saves. And you've got to say the good saves, for the fact is he kept his concentration going for long periods of that game. He didn't really have much to do. So let's hope he plays again and he really keeps the ball out the net. The more goals he doesn't concede, the better. No goals conceded. That's better for Onana and it's better for the whole team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, would you take a 1-0 now, clean sheet?
Listen, I was going to predict a 1-0. I think this will be a tough game. I think Crystal Palace will have learnt a lot about Tuesday night. They'll have learnt a lot about themselves. They'll have learnt a lot about United. And Roy Hodgson there, he will make changes. And I think the players, really, their own pride will make them want to commit more and do more and work harder. So I expect a tough game, to be honest with you. I don't expect it to be like Tuesday night. So really, you should all be out there and think, no 2 games, as far as I'm concerned, are always alike. So this, to me, Premier League, tough. They're coming up here and they'll have more fans here. They've got more to prove in front of like 3,000 fans. So at the end of the day, I think I'd take now 1-0 as a score prediction. I'd be happy with that. Getting the 3 points, again, is the most vital thing. But Erik ten Hag has got to set this team up and he's got to start getting something on a regular where they all know what they're doing week in, week out. But it's been difficult over the last few weeks with all the injuries and all that. And at the same time, you have to look. You want Amrabat there as left back. Right, yeah, that's a sticking plaster as far as I'm concerned. Right, but nothing's regular in this team yet, and I don't see that for a while. But score prediction 1-0, over the moon with that, me.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think we've loaned Amrabat to play in midfield. I just think at the moment with the injuries that are going on at Manchester United, I wouldn't mind too much if he did play left back because I think he can do a job there where other teams sort of play that system with the full-backs tucking into midfield. And I think he would actually do that perfectly. I just like I keep saying, got the football brain for it. And he knows when to tuck in to midfield. He knows when to cover the left-back spot and also get forward as well. It's just that on that left-hand side, will he get the same support that he did on Tuesday night in the players tracking back as well?
Well, you can only hope so, do you know what I mean? He will do a job and he's prepared to work anywhere for United. He said it. He said he'll play in goal, do you know what I mean? So that's the commitment, what you want. I look at Dalot, to be honest with you, on the right. He's improving. He's playing well. He's getting game after game after game. So I think that little partnership, what he does up front, now he does it there with Anthony. He does it excellently as far as I'm concerned. He works well with him. The other night he worked well with Pellistri. And I think that'll benefit Pellistri, to be honest with you. Having someone there again who he knows, who he can work with. So for me, Dalot, I think he's got to stand up here and help Pellistri. But I think going forward, that's what I want to see with Pellistri. He did go forward a lot Tuesday night, and I want to see more of that. And to be honest with you, I think we all want to see that from our fullbacks. It's not been the greatest. One of the things we have pulled Aaron Wan-Bissaka about when he's got into the box or on the edge of the box, but Dalot seems to have picked that part of his game up. So I want to see more of that, really. And it will be needed, especially when they sort of fall back at certain times through the game. It will be hard to break through 11 men behind the ball. So Dalot, he did well the other night breaking through it. So I hope it continues on Saturday.
Yeah, and what another solid performance from the back four as well. Obviously, looks like Lisandro Martinez might miss out with this one. There's no further updates yet on that injury he suffered at Arsenal. It goes back to with his foot. So for me, this is a good game for him to take even more of a rest if he needs it. And I'd be quite happy for Varane and Lindelof as a centre-back partnership. But there was also other injury news earlier on today with Ahmad and Kobbie Mainoo as well. And it looks like they'll be ready for first-team action after the international break as well. So you could see him in and around the squad for the Carabao Cup game against Newcastle.
Well, I think Kobbie Mainoo, I think you're going to see more of him. Without a doubt. I think Erik ten Hag had him penciled in to be in this squad and to be giving him chances, and the injury took that away. And he looks excellent. The bits what we've seen of him, he's looked excellent. So I expect him maybe at the end of October to try and push for a place, get some game time here, and then really when you look at it, the midfield, we just said the other day, 6 midfield players. we missed out Kobbie Mainoo, and that's because of his injury. But when he comes back in, he will be pushing. He's got some talent, that kid. And there you have it, really. Hannibal, Kobbie Mainoo, 2 young players pushing these people. And what you expect them is to push, use hard work, but then that'll push other players. What I like about the midfield, to be honest with you, I think Mason Mount is quite clear on the task ahead of him and the work rate, what he's got to do, and the commitment and what's expected of him to stay in this team.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And I looked at him the other night and I thought to myself, I've listened to these detractors, these people call him and all that, but I tell you what, he's got some work rate in him, got some legs on him. So I expect him to shine, to be honest with you. Big fight in that midfield coming up. Not too big at the moment. There's places and there's time to sort of put one player in, take one player out. But as time wears on here, end of October, coming to November, I think there'll be some big demands on players here, and the levels they'll have to go is higher.
We're talking about levels and demands. It looks like Christian Eriksen's fell out of favour with Erik ten Hag ever since that Bayern Munich away game. Struggled, obviously, defensively, Eriksen. You see him more as a squad player now? Can you see him getting in front of the likes of Amrabat or Mason Mount in the future?
Listen, Eriksen, to me, from the start of the season, is a squad player. Yes, we've used him, but needs must. And the same goes for McTominay. To me, they've always been squad players this season. That's how I visioned it. Obviously, with the injuries and that, we've had to use them and that. Yeah. But they're good enough players to come on if needed through injuries or just to change the team up. But for me, Eriksen, clearly, and McTominay, clearly, are not starters in this team. We've got better players and we've got players coming through who have got a higher quality. And at the end of the day, I think we'll keep them for this season and then look to get rid of him. Eriksen really wasn't long-term for this team. Eriksen wasn't brought in, I feel, to be brought in to take this team to another level. I think he was brought in to get us through a certain period of time, brought here on loan, and McTominay could have gone this year. We can all see why now he could have been sold, because there's players there who are clearly better than him, who have improved and who are going to improve, whereas McTominay, you can't really see him improving in this team. I just can't see it. And I back McTominay as a good player, and that's what he is, a good player. But at the end of the day, you need more to be than a good player in this team, because this team needs to go places and it needs to raise its standards. I think McTominay has just got one level, to be honest with you, and Eriksen has found his level. He's 60 minutes. He can't do more than 60 minutes. He hasn't got the legs. Well, that's no good in this league. No good if you're going to go further and you want to compete, especially with the likes of City. So at the end of the day, to win things, Eriksen hasn't got the legs, and I don't think McTominay's got the legs.
Yeah, Ashley Cooper says, would you like Ahmad to get a chance in the rotation on the right-hand side? I'm still just not sure with Ahmad what's his best position. You know, is it false nine? Is it behind the striker? Is it on the right-hand side, the left-hand side? For me at the moment, he's sort of in that grey area of what's his best position, and, you know, he's struggling to find his best position at the moment for me.
I think Ahmad there, he had a few chances there in pre-season, and that injury really
set him back a bit. Yeah,
it's set him back a bit, but it's also set us back a bit because we've not seen him get into the squad and being given the occasional 15, 20 minutes on the pitch and that. And there would have been occasions where he could have had them chances. So really, I think what might happen here, he might get in the squad. They might look for a loan in January for him, because there was talk of that. And the squad really, it might be top heavy for him to get a chance. And I really look at him and I think, has he got the ability to be up there at the top? But at the end of the day, he's coming back from injury. The kid needs a chance. He has to have that chance. And if he takes it, fantastic. But at this moment in time, I've not seen anything from Ahmad what will sort of say he's a starter. So he's got it all to prove.
Yeah, Nikos P said in the chat as well, he likes Gore. We mentioned him the other night in centre midfield. Looks a neat, tidy player as well, doesn't he? On the ball as well.
Yeah, neat, tidy player. The thing is, I think there's people in front of him. I do. I think there's people in front of him. There's big lads in there now who want to fight. Gore, I think he might just have to bide his time here, stay in the squad. I hope he stays in the squad. He needs the experience in that. And then let's see where it is in the summertime for him. He will get opportunities, but it's got much tougher for him now, to be honest with you. And then you have to see really how Erik ten Hag sets this team up for players to get a chance. And that's the vital thing for some of these players. It's how tactically Erik ten Hag sets up.
No, I totally agree. Like with Gore, he does look a tidy player to me. Don't want to go overboard because we've done that in the past with some of these youngsters and they failed to make the grade, but he does look a tidy player. And I think with Erik ten Hag, when these players are sort of breaking through, he likes to keep him in and around the squad, get used to the culture, get used to how Erik ten Hag wants them to play. And then he might see it, a year later, send them out on loan for that season, get them regular football, and to bring them back. Because you've also got to be mindful, we look at our midfield, Casemiro, what is he, 31? Eriksen, 31. These are a couple of players who, next season, 2 or 3 seasons, will need replacing. And it looks like we've got a good nucleus of some academy kids there in Mainoo, Gore and Hannibal, who can maybe fit into that midfield going forward with additions as well. Well,
if you look at in the summer, okay, the experience these players would have had, hopefully had, in Gore, Hannibal, Palestri, and Kobbie, Mainoo, right? You've got to look at it. The future's looking bright here for Man United because these all look good players. 1 or 2 of them, especially Hannibal, I think he looks above average, without a shadow of a doubt, where the kid could make it.
Do you think that done him good as well, going on loan to Birmingham last year? Because it looks like he can actually play against men as well, doesn't he? He's only a young kid, but he doesn't look out of place, does he?
Yeah, this is mostly vital. It's vitally important. There's one thing, an issue with Hannibal, and that's his fouling and getting booked. So this is a learning curve for him. He can cement a place for next year, without a shadow of a doubt, as far as I'm concerned. But that 4 core players there, what we've just mentioned there, right? I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that some of these, maybe 3 of them, could be shooed in to this team next year. Get 1 or 2 players signed in, what we need, which is up front and a centre half. And then you can see these youngsters coming into the team. And I look at the future. I look at how Erik ten Hag is bringing in players, how he works with players. And these 4 seem to have come through unexpectedly, really. Especially with all the carnage around the club and everything else like that. So when you break it down, looking at the players, looking at the future and all that, I think these players are good enough to take it forward to another level. So I'm fine with that.
It's like building a team here for the future. You've got Garnacho, Hoyland to add into the mix. You've got Anthony. Hopefully he comes back as well at some point, unavailable currently. He's only 23 years old. So you've got a nucleus of a team, possibly, for a 5 or 6 year period that could actually go and challenge if they carry on the trajectory that we hope they do.
That's right. And then you've got the fight in Garnacho.
Yeah.
Which is challenging Rashford. And the question has to be, will Rashford be up for the challenge? By rights, he should be. So it all bodes well going down there. And what it is, there's certain areas what need proper strengthening. And that is having 2, 3 good centre forwards, having 1 or 2 more centre backs. And then what we have to do in the summer is look at the full backs, because we have to look at the injuries, how they come back. So really going forward, there is only 2, 3 players of class we need to bring into this in the summer. And Erik ten Hag, I've always said it, he needs 3 years to try and get a team what he wants there to be able to challenge. It's been tough now. This start has been horrendous, to be honest with you. And as I said last week, I've not seen a start to a season with injuries and the chaos around the club ever, to be honest with you. Not in my memory anyway. Not that I've got a good memory, do you know what I mean? But it seems as though we've got a future if you look beyond the chaos around you now, with the owners, with inside the club, and the criticising, like the scouts, this, that, and the other, and criticising certain players. When you look outside that, what he's got there is a nucleus for next summer, right, of bringing in 2, maybe 3 good players, and then the rest of the players, they've took that leap, and 4 or 5 of them will take that leap. And we've just mentioned them here today. To me, it's common sense when you look at it that we have got a team what will be able to challenge Hannibal, Garnacho, especially when you look at them. They are up for the fight every week, and they will want to get better, and that can only bode well for United going forward.
Yeah, just sticking on Rashford. Baraf says he thinks Rashford is overrated. Sonic Worm says you have to give Rashford a chance to meet the challenge as well. And yeah, Garnacho has kind of set that ante, especially on Tuesday night, in his work rate, his work ethic, and obviously getting that goal as well. And Rashford's got to raise himself here. Yeah,
Rashford has got to raise himself, and he has to have the chance. He's got the quality. Like I said before, we wouldn't have been where we was last year without his goals. But you can't live off last season. And Ten Hag will be patient with him, will demand more. And you just never know. It might work for Rashford, but if it doesn't work for Rashford, he must know he's under pressure. Ten Hag knows he's under pressure to bring Garnacho in, because Garnacho ain't letting go here. He's not letting go.
You can imagine the type of player there when he's not in the team. He's knocking on the manager's door like, boss, why aren't I playing?
Well, listen, I've seen the relationship with Ten Hag and Garnacho. It looks good. Them two understand each other. So I don't think there's any pressure from Garnacho getting a bit of a cob on because he's not playing. I think he's been given a timeline. He's got the instructions. He knows what's going on around, and the game time, what he gets. I think it's all understood by Ten Hag and Garnacho, and that relationship. It bodes well for the future, to be honest with you. But it is Rashford under pressure if he doesn't deliver, and that's what you want. And he has to deliver, Rashford, because it's not been there. But at the same time, there's a lot of players up to now this season who haven't delivered.
Yeah.
So we're not picking out Rashford. We're just showing that there is big pressure there for Rashford to perform. And if he doesn't perform, then he's got no excuses. He's out because he's a kid what wants it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Lou in the chat says, great to see United's tradition of bringing the young players through and challenging the first team players for a place. And that's what we was hoping as well when we was getting Erik ten Hag as the manager. He's got the CV for it at Ajax, working with youngsters, bringing them through. And it was something that I was looking forward to. And it looks like this season he's been able to actually bring in 2 or 3 youth players as well.
I think I'll go back to what I said before. It's great that the youngsters are there. And we've all missed it, to be honest with you. We've actually not seen it that the youngsters are there. They are knocking on the door. There's a few of them getting in the team, and with the way the injuries have been and everything else like that, I think as fans we've not been able to focus on that.
Yeah.
But now we're focusing on it. We can see it. Do you know what I mean? The chaos is quietening down. There'll always be chaos. There'll always be something. But what it is, I'm looking at Ten Hag and how he's developing the team and what his vision is. And the vision is clearly there now for everyone to see. There is good youngsters coming through. And you don't really see that in a lot of teams. Whether they'll be able to make it where they can compete, only time will tell on that.
Yeah.
But I've got a good feeling about it because they're being brought up with an education by Erik ten Hag, who's always worked with young kids, who always brings them on. And I think they will make that leap. I think especially 4, possibly 5 of these youngsters could be in the Man United team together in the next 12 to 18 months. And that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat talking about Amrabat, Kobbie, Mainoo as well. They all think they're going to be special players here at Manchester United and be able to do a job. Richard Club Sport says, Hannibal reminds me of a young Roy Keane. Work rate, passion, desire with the commitment, but wasn't Keane reckless at times? And yeah, he was with his tackles, Roy Keane, wasn't he? Do you think with Hannibal, those... the certain fouls that he actually commits, do you think they're more like tactical fouls, stopping the teams from breaking away, counter-attacking us? Because you see it from Man City all the time, don't you, these little tactical fouls?
I think what it is, it's
or is it just him sort of like losing his head a little bit, getting that reckless?
I think it's him just being angry with himself, as if to say, I really should have been in front of the man, not behind the man. I should have really been at the side of him. I should have seen it coming. A bit of a frustration from a young lad.
Yeah.
He wants to be perfect, but to be perfect, then you need time and you need to understand that you have to control yourself throughout the game. When you talk about Roy Keane was in a different era where tackles went flying in, where you could fly in a sliding tackle and actually kung fu the bloke in the chest while he was on the floor, and it'd be an accident. Football's completely changed.
Yeah.
But I think it's more frustration with Hannibal's lack of being caught out sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And
that's a willingness to impress as well, the manager, because he wants to stay in that starting 11 as well. So you can't fault that in a lot of ways.
No, I'm not faulting it. I'm just saying what I said the other day about it was that Erik Ten Hag and Hannibal have to sort of like get these chats together, and that's the one thing what has to be taken out of his game. It's the enthusiasm and like sometimes the frustration as well of being caught out. Yeah. He doesn't want to be caught out. It's as though really he wants to grab the player by the throat and say, "Yeah, what do you think you're doing? You shouldn't be doing that against me. I'm better than that." And that's what it is. He knows he's better than that, and it's just the frustration. That just has to be taken out of his game, that frustration.
Yeah, anything to add before we go? I also want your score prediction, but did you say 1-0 earlier on?
Yeah, 1-0. Listen,
very conservative 1-0 that.
It's a conservative one because what's name it? I'm worried about Crystal Palace because they would have been seething and also embarrassed. And Roy Hodgson, you could clearly see he was embarrassed with what went on. Players sort of like conceded ground, the commitment wasn't there. And I've seen it before with Roy Hodgson, how he gets the team together to work together. We've seen it with the Crystal Palace at times, how he gets them working together and they come back. Well, I think these will come back. Just the players themselves will want to prove that they're better than that. But as a club, as a fan base of Crystal Palace, they know they can do it and they will want to see improvement. So they're not coming here. As I said before, they're not coming as lambs to the slaughter. They're not coming here to be embarrassed. This is the Premier League. And I think they'll turn it round and it will be harder. So 1-0, I'm over the moon with 1-0. 3 points, that'll do me fine.
Yeah, Danny, thanks, lads, for a great show and a chat as always. Much appreciated to you, Danny, and everyone else for joining us all the time, getting involved, smashing that like button and supporting the channel, spreading the word. Bob Nab thinks it'll be 3-1 Man United all day. I'm actually going to go with 3-0.
3-0?
Yeah, I might have a little bit of egg on my face.
A repeat performance?
Yeah, I just think after that performance there, I think all the lads, you're looking at the squad, you looked at them on Tuesday night, and yeah, you can throw in that Crystal Palace weren't really at it, but you just seen a smile from the United players on Tuesday, you know, a togetherness that we've not seen up until now, you know, at the start of the season. And I think just things there in the background are just starting to click now, especially with players coming back from injury. That competition's there, and it looks a healthy competition as well, not something where, you know, players are getting slated when they're coming in and not giving a performance. It seems a healthy competition, and that's good to have in any workplace. Yeah,
I think coming off after 90 minutes, what you'll want to see, right, was not conceding a goal.
Yeah, that'd be great for
I
me.
think, to have a clean sheet, I think the whole team would be made up because then they've worked hard, you know what I mean? But I do expect a few hairy moments, and Onana will have to be on it because they will come at it. You've seen that they wanted to use the counter-attacking, and it was there once or twice, but I think it'll be used more. I think they'll be more professional, more committed to the game. So coming off, having a clean sheet is something I want.
Yarley says, I just got here, time to start the show over again. Not today, my mate. Yeah, you'll have to get here a little bit sooner next time. Actually, to be fair, we was a little bit late in advertising it, putting it out through a couple of different reasons.
Through these?
Yeah, that and other things that was going on. Yeah, we thought I'd upgrade the mics as well, so hopefully we do sound a little bit clearer as well. Does that mean we're podcasting now? I don't know.
No, we're two United fans with new equipment. That's it. That's all it is. Yeah. This is new equipment. Two United fans have got, and we've managed to be able to work them. You've done your job. Well, you've done your work excellent, to be honest with you, Kieron. So I'm proud of you today. I am.
You're proud of me?
Yeah, just today though.
Just today.
I wasn't yesterday, like going home in the rain. But hey.
No. At least you're fighting fit though today. I was expecting you to have the flu today, going back home in that.
No, I've been through worse. I've told you that before. All
right, well, I'll give you a lift home today then. But yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us. You've gone your score prediction. I've given mine 3-0. Let us know yours in the chat as well. You're starting 11. Obviously, it's a tough choice, this one, I think, going into Saturday's game after some great individual performances on Tuesday. But let us know what your opinion is. What do you think Ten Hag might play? All that good stuff. And yeah, just thank everyone for joining us today. Don't forget to smash a like to support the channel as well. Thank you, everyone.
Many thanks. Cheers.